There are some lies in our science books. Taught it for 15 years. Even though I'm not teaching it anymore, I still like to study. There's so many neat things to learn. We're going to cover some of that tonight.
Perception is being managed. We are being steered and guided by a hidden hand.
The whole world has been duped by the media that is not real.
Smart thinking, possible time traveler, smart thinking.
That night, boom, contact memory.
And then, Alex, if you don't agree, you'll be sent to a re-education camp.
Just because I'm old doesn't mean I've lost my touch with the ladies.
A lot of people here tonight felt like they lost. You know why?
Now, experts are suggesting that we're in a golden age of shape-shifting reptilian sightings. Now, why is that?
I was, and still am, a huge conspiracy guy. I literally ran out of new tin hat topics to research.
It was most definitely not capable of melting steel.
Then I would be a crackpot if I thought that was the case.
Welcome to the Hypothetical Institute, a podcast about conspiracies.
My name's Luke.
I'm Salt.
I'm Cam. Gentlemen, welcome to 2024.
Hey, here we are.
I'm going to be writing 2023 on all of my checks for at least 2 more months.
Oh, mate, you know what? I've been being very, very careful with every drawing that I do that I sign at 24.
Yeah, right.
And I haven't fucked it once.
Nice.
Because, you know, in 70 years when the copyright runs out, you don't want them getting it in 69 years, do you?
No. Can you imagine?
When the
copyright is going to be in shambles in 60 years.
When the copyright runs out on like some
also
creepy little mushroom man.
You're assuming that means I'm going to die this year, Cam.
Sorry.
Oh, Cam, did you not tell him?
Well, what I was going to say is it's far more likely that Robbo's going to die this year.
Given how much he's just destroying himself.
Yeah, I was going to say, was this supposed to be what was this supposed to be the year of? Helping your mates? But rather it's the year of bashing your head into things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, every year is the year of bashing your head into things, Cam, for me. Yeah, I've got a big gash on my head.
Yeah, for the benefit of the listeners, Robbo, in an attempt to reverse a lifetime of concussions, asterisk style, bashed his head into a wall.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm concussed. I don't.
Well, so it worked.
Well, I haven't had symptoms of my other concussion since. I don't think so.
Yeah. We've got some crackers to start off 2024. You know, like how everything was a conspiracy.
Yes,
yeah. It's like that, but sort of good in a way.
Yeah, the one that you're kind of going to be talking about, Cam, I'm not across, so I'm kind of excited to learn about that. The one that me and Salty have been looking into, I love. It's just everything that I love about this, and there's some really good modern internet gear in this. So yeah, I'm excited. It's a good start to the year. If the year continues like this, ring a ding ding.
I think we need to start with the synagogue tunnels, just because it can't live up to your one.
Okay.
So the internet was set ablaze by the revelation in New York that under the headquarters of the Chabad Lubavitch organization at 770 Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn, there was a secret tunnel. The police were called in, the NYPD, to fill in the tunnel, and it unsurprisingly set off the world of conspiracy because they've been telling us about these tunnels, and if there's one group of people that they're really going to be sus on having tunnels, it's a bunch of Jewish guys. So QAnon people just sent into overdrive. It didn't help that they pulled like a mattress out of the tunnel. There was like a children's high chair that came out of the tunnel. These are like the big pictures that were sort of being spread around QAnon circles. I think that they pulled a lot of shit out of the tunnel that was sort of less salacious.
General tunnel gear.
Yeah. But it's got people like asking a lot of questions, about why was there a tunnel, there's not a lot of good answers. There is an actual answer, but it's like so weird that you can sort of understand why if someone's an anti-Semite, they're never going to accept it anyway. Like they were never going to accept anything, but you've got to be like, well, I get that you're not going to accept this.
The only thing that could have been worse for the continuing discourse around tunnels would have been if this was in Washington.
Yeah.
Like if this was in Washington, this would have never, like Pizzagate would have been eternal. Did the tunnel go anywhere? Or it stopped somewhere, or what's the go?
It was sort of possibly it was going to like link up this synagogue with like this other building that was sort of connected, but I think it just sort of doesn't really go anywhere. There were sort of grand plans for it, but I think it was just a bit of tunneling. It was just sort of wayward tunneling.
Okay.
At the end. But yeah, it's one of those things, right, where we've talked about this before. We should be consultants. We should be consulted on any decision that's made by any group that's been targeted by conspiracy theorists. So if you're like the Freemasons, if you're running a Freemason lodge and you're like, should we build a tunnel? You need to go to the council and get all of the proper planning permission, and then you need to come to us and you need to say, Robbo, Cam, Salty, should I build a tunnel? And we would say, fuck no.
No,
Yeah.
not at
Or
all.
we would say yes, but be very clear with your intentions and don't have anything sus down there.
Yeah, don't have you need to be upfront about your tunnel. The problem here, of course, is they didn't even get the planning permission. They've just been digging the tunnel. Anyway, there was quite a brouhaha when the police came to fill in the tunnel. I think like 10 people were arrested. They came to fill in the tunnel, and the people who built the tunnels like started ripping panels off the wall, which sort of revealed quite the scope of the tunnel to cameras, which is sort of supercharged things. Now, the reason for the tunnel is just weird. There is like a power struggle within this organization. There's like a sect within this group who think that the leader of the organization, who died in like 1994, is the Messiah and that he's going to return. And one of the things that he had sort of planned before he died was, I will build like this underground section of our building. And he'd like drawn up plans, kicked the bucket in 1994. He's like, I've heard Nirvana. Don't need to hear anymore. I'm out. So they're like, we need to fulfill his dreams and build the tunnel if he's going to come back as the Messiah. That's like one sort of theory about what they were doing. But the other sort of theory is like these guys, there's this power struggle within the organization, and the particular people who dug the tunnel have been like banned from upstairs. They're like, you can hang out in the basement, but you can't come upstairs. They're like, well, if we're going to be stuck in the basement, we can dig a tunnel, and there's nothing you can do about it upstairs, people. So either they were like, we're going to dig a tunnel so that we can sneak in, is one theory, or they were like, we're going to dig a tunnel just as like a power move.
Right.
And that's pretty much it. I think what people are forgetting is the idea that if you put a bunch of young blokes in a basement, whether they're weird Jewish sect or not, they're going to dig a tunnel, right?
Probably. Or jerk off.
Yeah, yeah, that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking it's jerking off in video games. The best case scenario is they start a band.
Yeah. But like a middle case scenario is they're going to start tunneling.
Yeah,
If they're not allowed to go upstairs, they're going to start tunneling.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. And if you get the right kid in there, like there's probably 1 in every 10 kids is probably a tunnel kid.
Yeah.
Get one of them in the mix, and yeah, you got a tunnel happening.
But yeah, I think the sort of the most sensible theory is that if you can ban us from upstairs, but if we can like sneak in when you don't know we're here, we could maybe we could take over upstairs one day, and there's nothing you can do about it. They're going to change the locks and stuff. A little bit complex, but you can see why if someone's like they're doing QAnon down there, they're not going to be like, oh, I get it. This complicated intra-community affair is what's actually going on. They're going to be like, no, you're doing QAnons.
Even though this isn't Washington, D.C., this is certainly going to always come into the discourse now, right?
Yeah.
This is constantly going to be used as an example of, hey, look at this thing. Look at the Jews with their tunnels.
Yeah.
This is evidence that yeah. Hmm.
And it does come at a little bit of a weird moment because you've got a whole bunch of like these QAnon guys, like and QAnon adjacent people like Stu Peters and some of the other ones who have gone mask off about Jews lately. A little bit because they've got a bit of cover from what Israel's doing, but a little bit because they were always sort of going in that direction anyway. And they were always there. They just were being a little subtler about it. But now that they're mask off and then this happens, it's like having a field day.
Yeah, right. I feel like this one is going to be around for a while.
Yeah. You'll never hear the end of it. There was like one guy from the group popped his head out of a drain. And it's like, just
great.
Come out of the door. Like, don't pop your head out of the drain.
Is there video of him coming out of the drain?
I think there's like photo or video of it, but it's like, it's not a good look. It's a bad look.
That's just good comedy. You know, like if you've got the opportunity, if people are investigating a tunnel and the cops are looking and stuff's happening and you just stick your little bonce out of a hole, this is hilarious stuff. That's good stuff.
So yeah, that's the tunnel. That's the Jewish tunnels. More to come for the next decade.
Yeah. Are we ready to talk about some aliens?
Yes,
So,
please.
let me imagine you're a teenager and you're like, you know what? Let's just go down shopping center, the mall. Let's just get in a fucking huge fight. It'll get us some great news coverage.
Yep.
We can rage against the machine as teens, like we are, and be like, "Hey, we've got teen issues." You know,
Bit of angst.
We need the world to be aware of our struggle.
Yeah.
So let's go down the mall and get in a massive fight. Nothing could possibly overshadow the coverage that we're going to get.
Yeah. It's a rumble, right?
Yeah, it's a rumble.
Did you have rumbles at your school?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Who was rumbling? Was it were there groups?
Just kids, just a couple of kids. Like one kid would hate another kid, and then they'd get in a fight. But there was always that moment where, like, no matter where you were in the school, in the distance you'd just hear someone yell, "Fight! Fight!" and everyone would just sprint from wherever they are in the school to just towards the shouting.
Yeah.
And then everyone would crowd around and watch these two kids have a really shit fight.
Yeah.
Until the teachers arrived and break it up.
When there was a fight bubbling, a fight on the bubble, there's electricity through the school.
Oh yeah.
You can't capture that whatever's happening in the school in that moment.
No.
Oh.
That's what these guys were like.
Yeah.
Like that's we're going to recapture that. It's going to be like we're in the schoolyard.
We had a long-running Bogans versus Surfers feud,
right?
And they'd always fight at the skate ramp because that's the hangout spot, which kind of annoyed us as like the five skaters, being like, guys, can you not?
Yeah, fight somewhere else.
Like it brings us into this, and we don't want to be involved.
Yeah,
and
we
also
smoke weed and skate.
Yeah, and there's certainly crossover.
Concussed. We're getting concussed anyway.
We're doing it ourselves, and there was crossover with both groups, probably more so with the surfers, but certainly there was, the Bogans were in the mix at times as well.
Yeah,
and then one of the surfers, I'm going to mention his name. I don't know what he's up to these days. Ricky Commons spray painted on the skate ramp, "Bogans suck," but he spelt Bogans wrong. And he put Boggins, Bogga, and so that made our ramp even worse. Anyway,
so the teenage urge to rumble,
yeah.
It's just like the youthful urge to tunnel. Teens want to rumble,
yeah.
So these teens
you're tunneling towards a rumble, basically.
Yeah. So you go have your rumble, right? You get home, you've got your hand in some ice from punching on so much. You've got to ice your hand.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to sit down with a cold beer now and just watch the news coverage about how much we've raised the issues of youth violence.
Oh, how old are these kids?
I don't know, teenagers.
Between 14 and 16, I think, were the ones that I saw arrested.
Yeah, they're smashing a beer at home.
They're smashing a beer. Maybe their dad's given them a beer.
Yeah,
because they've come home and he's like, "What the fuck happened to you?"
Yeah.
Oh, Dad,
what have you been doing, cunt?
You should see the other guy.
Yeah,
he's like he's a little bit proud.
Yeah,
he gives you a
mate.
beer.
I like how you're viewing these youths through the lens of Australians. You come home, your dad says, crikey, it's been a bit of a hullabaloo. It's truth, mate.
You're projecting that onto us. I think that what I just described is a universal thing. When my dad's listening to this, he'll be like, that's not universal. But what I mean is, I think that that's like a normal thing, that the kid would come home, he's a bit dusted up, dad's like, oh, what about the other guy? He's like, well, Dad, turn on the news.
See the other guy. Yeah. Chuck the news on, mate.
Chuck the news on. We'll have our first beer together. But what happened when they turned the news on?
Fucking aliens, mate. Who knew that the aliens were going to turn up at the Rumble? So Bogans versus surfers versus aliens.
So what's the story here? What's the real meat of this? There was a scrap at a mall?
There was a big scrap at a mall, and amongst all the footage that happened, see, all I really saw was I saw one guy go, yeah, I saw it, but the rest of it was just news footage, right? Just this news footage, blurry helicopter footage of what looks like a really tall sort of alien guy walking along near some police cars.
When you saw that footage, did you think it looked like an alien?
The first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that looks that looks a bit weird," because it's like next to a car park, right? So you can see multiple floors. So it does look quite tall. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's no, it didn't really. Knowing what it actually was, it can't have been above the car park levels because that doesn't make any sense. So I must have just been imagining that that's what they were in front of.
So just
when I first saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that looks kind of weird.
A little bit of context as well. This happened in Miami, Florida, right?
Yeah. Famous for the surfer versus bogan rumbles.
I think there are many more political, groups that are rumbling in Miami. Deeper than the bogans and the surfers.
So people have started freaking out about this footage that looks like a tall, grey, shadowy alien slowly walking by some police cars.
And from there, it kind of hit social media, mostly X and TikTok, as being the aliens. There's aliens invading the mall, or aliens at the mall, and then all these cops showed up, and they put the cover of a teenage fight as a cover, basically.
Yep. No swamp gas.
No swamp gas.
Just straight to an old fashioned rumble.
Yep. Yeah. I went pretty deep on this to try and find the original, the source of when this happened,
right?
Or how this became Rumble to aliens, or what the first evidence of the aliens was, and I couldn't find it. I went pretty deep, and the first one I came across, the one that kind of got popular was Auntie Coolette on TikTok. She's the cool auntie that explains things on TikTok. Have you guys seen Auntie Coolette before?
I think I might have seen that video earlier.
She's kind of folksy. She's hello there, tiki-talkers. She calls shooting... and she calls the shooting pew-pew. Right. The pew-pews they heard weren't from the police, they were from the... She's also super Christian and pretty cooked as well.
Yeah.
But the cool auntie. She's a cool auntie.
She's a cool auntie. She's also having to... I don't know if the pew-pewing is necessarily folksiness and more just getting around being prioritized by the algorithm, right?
You could say shooting, right?
I don't
think.
Well, you can't say dead. You can't say someone was killed. You have to say they were unalived. Right. So I think
is that why people are saying unalived now?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was modern therapy speak where we're trying to, it's a little bit nicer to say unalived, less triggering than dead. But is that just...
No, it's literally just to... Yeah, well, it means you don't get knocked off the algorithm.
I'm we can just say dead. It's... Yeah, okay. Right, a whole new world out there for me.
Oh, mate.
So, yeah, she was saying... She kind of collated some of the earlier stuff, and I'll get into some of that in a second, but she was pointing out that there's so many police cars coming. There's footage of 50 or 60 police cars just honing down. And she's is this all this for some teens and some sticks and some fireworks? Apparently the teens had sticks and fireworks, which I guess is in America. If we hear teens are rumbling with sticks and fireworks in Australia or New Zealand, we're like, oh yeah, that's probably pretty serious. In America, they don't have guns. They're like, oh, that's pretty minor. they're probably not up to much.
They're just hitting each other with sticks is like the best case scenario.
Yeah. But the kind of, and her point, and a lot of other people that believe this is aliens' point is they've sent all these police there, and there's this overreaction from police. You know, why would the police react so intently to just some teens with some sticks and some fireworks?
Well, you can't set off fireworks in the mall.
No, and also like American police are famous for overreacting.
Yeah,
and
they reacted normally. Like that's just, that's a base level reaction.
They're also the mall, the Bayside Mall, it seemed to be predominantly black and Hispanic. So a bunch of cops overreacting to some teens, some black and Hispanic teens fighting is the most normal reaction that I've seen from America. So yeah, the cops all turned up, and somehow the original tweet that I saw was from Alphonse Ola Jr., who says witnesses claim they saw creatures or beings walking at the mall. He's another guy, and these people are all verified on Twitter /X now. He's another guy that's super cooked Christian stuff, Nephilim and all that stuff. QAnon's mixed in with him as well. He's the first one to say that I've seen that have said creatures or beings. And from there it hit Nola Nurse, which is she's a nurse that's also QAnon adjacent. I pulled out a tweet of hers that she saw a van labelled Umbrella Corp, which I think is from a video game, right?
It's from Resident Evil.
Resident Evil, yeah. So she tweeted and then retweeted since then in 2023 May, like a hospital-looking Umbrella Corp van, and she's like, question mark? And then she's retweeted it again. So, these people are easily fooled by seeing an Umbrella Corp, a video game thing, and going, what the hell? Is this the New World Order?
Was it a picture from a video game, or was it? Because I feel like putting Umbrella Corp and the Umbrella Corp logo on your van is a fairly easy, like what's that type of spraying? Salty airbrushing.
Airbrushing.
That's fairly simple airbrush.
Yeah, this looks like a divvy van, but like it's got two logos and some words. Like it's reasonable effort, but not great. But she's retweeted that recently as well, and then she kind of started sharing that all the flights in Miami had been cancelled, and the police police scanners had all been they switched to another channel. None of this is true at all.
Yeah.
And then Auntie Coolette picked up this and sort of did a TikTok about it. Part of her evidence was that this is being suppressed was she searched X for Miami Mall 8 to 9 foot creatures, and it got no results. No. Because it's super specific.
Yeah.
So then she's like, well, that is pretty specific. But what if I type in Miami Mall shooting January 2024? Nothing comes up. Which is ridiculous because
people don't normally put the date into their.
People don't type. It wasn't a shooting, and people don't type the date in.
Dateline: Miami Mall, January 2024. Shooting at the mall. There wasn't a shooting, so why would people tweet about a shooting?
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that was like case closed for Auntie Coolette. She got she's the one that kind of got picked up and shared around, and that's what kind of kicked off on TikTok. And then there was sort of all these eyewitness accounts, people doing TikTok videos saying, I was there, I was just there with my family and started seeing all these giant beings and it all, I kind of did a deep dive on all those people that were claiming this, and unsurprisingly, none of them were. Seemed like acting in good faith.
But you thought maybe if you find one who's like a credible person.
Yeah. I thought maybe there's one that will have all the info. The best one I found, and I went pretty deep on this guy, Sosa.Pippin, which I don't know if that's his name or if it's a Chief Keef, Scottie Pippen reference, which is an interesting collab. But
or Chief Keef, Lord of the Rings collab.
True. No, you got me there. That makes more sense than Scottie Pippen. I went back through his TikTok, and I'll just give a quick rundown because it's a pretty interesting world, old Sosa.Pippin's TikTok. The first one is him and some kids getting kicked out of a pool, saying that people are kicking them out because they didn't pay or something and it's racist. The next one is he's saying that girls, if you've got a girlfriend or a wife, I'm assuming, you've got to log into their phone and check out Cash App because girls are using Cash App to cheat on their men. Because when you send someone cash on Cash App, you can like put a little message.
Right.
And that's how they're secretly messaging the men they're cheating on, which is super specific. Like, I don't think that's happening to anyone else but Sosa.Pippin. And then he's got a video of filming some nurses because he couldn't visit his sister in the hospital, and the nurse, he starts filming the nurse, and the nurse is like, can you, and naming the nurse as well, calling out her name, and she puts her hand up. It's like, don't film me, and he's like, don't put your hand in my face, this is assault. Yeah, so this is the kind of, then he does a video of someone assaulting a woman on the subway and how he would have like kicked that guy's ass. And then there's a lot of his interior design work, a folio, which are photos of master bedrooms. Well, AI-generated master bedroom designs. He's got a lot of this content where it's he kind of goes between this, you know, I'm going to kick this guy's ass, woman be cheating, to then here's some AI of I'm an interior designer and give me some work, which is an interesting pivot, I guess. And then he's got one complaining.
It's a bit of a tough sell, though.
Yeah, it's not the right forum, I think. It's a bit jarring seeing it there.
But also, like, if you're like in the market for an interior designer, I feel like there are enough interior designers out there who are designing things, not just saying to a robot, what would it look like if there was a bedroom? Yes. And some of them are quite funny, where like there's a fireplace under a TV and the TV looks to be catching in the flames. Some weird plushies that don't look like anything. Yeah, it's an interesting world of design that he's built for himself. And then he complains about, and this is going somewhere, stay with me. He complains about too many women twerking on his page. He logged into TikTok and there's too many twerkers, and he doesn't like that. And then he gets into the Saudi Arabian economy and how that's going to relate to the US dollar. Then he's got some raps about selling pipeweed in the Shire.
Yeah, pipeweed in the Shire. Then a bit more interior design. Then he has a first person of the account of the alien. And he says, I was at the mall and this has been deleted, by the way, and then reshared to other places. And I was at the mall and I was there with my brother and we saw this alien and we like got out of there and there's aliens. Then he deleted that. He's like, and then his next one, people said when he deleted it that he's been scared. He's been threatened. He's been threatened by the feds. Why has he deleted it? And so he's posted one that says he's not scared of anything. Mm-hmm. You need to stop worrying about them aliens and start worrying about getting that bag. And then he posted a video of some cash.
Yeah.
So he went out and got the bag.
Yeah, what a grind set.
Yeah. That's like the main witness, by the way. He's like the main one that everyone's sharing. Yeah. Interesting guy, old Sosa.Pippin.
We've seen this before, Robbo, where someone's like, oh, I seen a Bigfoot. And then they've deleted it. And then they've, done a little bit of lore building, bit of world building. There's cars following me, et cetera, et cetera. Do you reckon he's seen that, which has had success before, and tried to replicate it? Or has he just been like, I don't want to be the alien guy. I just want to be helping people get their bags?
Yeah, I think maybe, and a lot of these that I watched, it looked like they'd seen it popping up on TikTok between the twerking, and they were like, oh, let's do a quick video. Oh, yeah, I was there. Oh, my God, I couldn't believe it. And then that blows up immediately. Like they can see a bit of a potential to go quick viral, and then it blows up, and then they go, oh, actually, this kind of sucks. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the alien guy. I want to be the guy that gets the bag.
Yeah.
There's another guy that posted on Twitter that he was at the mall yesterday, and it definitely wasn't a fight. There was definitely no fight, and it was definitely aliens. He was kind of late to this, so he posted it like 6 days after it happened. And so there's a community note on his tweet that's like, this didn't happen yesterday, it happened 5 days ago. And so then his follow-up is, the community note doesn't surprise me, it's why I said the government was lying and covering it up. The UFO community is the biggest on X, and it just so happens that X is owned by a man obsessed with space exploration. If you believe this was all for a fight, you're dumb.
Yeah.
And then he did a Twitter space saying he will not be silenced. He had 4.3 thousand viewers to his Twitter space.
Christ alive. You know the other thing that Community Notes does a lot? Have you noticed, like, when you get those super scammy drop shipping ads, and there'll be a community note on the ad on x.com that's like, FYI, this is probably a scam. So if there's one thing we know about the Community Notes people on X, it's that they don't want people getting their bags.
No.
So can they be trusted?
You got to see it, Cam. He was 6 days late to this.
Yeah.
But like the reason I noted down how many views he got on his Twitter space was there's still 4,000. Like that's there's not a huge audience these days, but it's not insignificant. If we had 4,000 listeners on this podcast, we'd be pretty happy. And this guy can just lie in a Twitter space and get an audience.
We could do that, Rob.
We could lie in a Twitter space?
Yeah, easily. Only problem is, what are we gonna lie about? Aliens down at the Westport docks? It's just Barry bringing in a big tuna.
If Barry was bringing in a big tuna, there's a book about bringing in a big tuna at the Westport docks.
Is there? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I knew that. Robo, I was making a literary reference.
It's called Royce, the People's Choice. You can look it up.
Is it a book or a limerick?
Partly book, partly limerick. By Peter Hawes, a Westport guy. My dad is a character in it, under a different name, but it's based on my dad.
Which character in Royce, the People's Choice is based on Mr. Robertson?
Dooley. He unloads fishing boats with a cigarette in his mouth. Doesn't look like he's doing any work, but gets all the work done.
And Peter Hawes told your dad that this guy, Dooley, was based on him? Or is he just like, the guy smoking at the docks? Yeah, that's me in the book.
No, he spent time hanging out at the docks with Dad for this. Like, he's a family friend. Well, he was. He's dead now. But
okay.
Yeah, this is
that's fine. I was like,
it's a good book. I can recommend if anyone's looking for a Hemingway-esque tale set in Westport. And then in the back, there's a thing of like nicknames for people. Like, these are all nicknames for people around Westport. This is why there's so many nicknames in the book. And there's like a whole bunch of my friends are listed in there. Good book.
But you don't feature?
I do not feature, no.
Except, like, as an aside, Dooley took a drag from his cigarette. He's like, my fucking kid. Is he ever going to get into a rumble so I can give him a beer?
Yeah.
As soon as the rumbling starts, he just skates away. It's like, I want to bond with this kid.
I found another eyewitness account. An account of an eyewitness account. This is from Matt French Art. He says that eyewitnesses say the aliens were somehow able to blend into the crowd, even though they were very tall.
Is this because they were supposed to be like shadowy aliens, right? Like move slow and avoid human perception.
Yeah. Which isn't... They seem to have done a bad job of it.
Yeah, well, they got caught on camera, didn't they?
Yeah, they've been massively perceived.
If Matt French Art knows about it, then the jig is up. I did a little bit of looking at Matt French Art to see his art, and he seems to primarily draw logos for skateboard wheels.
Right.
For Bones skateboard wheels in particular. I almost bought a set of Bones recently, but I don't think they were his. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Anyway, he's pretty cooked. So I'm probably going to avoid a Matt French skateboard wheel from the future. But yeah, I just thought it was funny that and as you said, Salty, there's this kind of, they move slowly, they blend into the crowd, but not enough to get the entire Miami police force raining down on them.
And did we also mention that when you look at it from another angle, it's just a couple of cops walking along?
No, we haven't
mentioned that yet, have we?
That's the big twist.
The big twist is that it was just a couple of cops walking by their cars.
Was it 3 cops in a trench coat?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that video, is that what we think sparks it all? That video of the cops walking, and then it kind of, because that was the only real footage from that event, right?
Mm.
And people just saw that and ran with it.
Well, I saw there was a lot of footage of like the teens running around and like the hubbub around the fight and stuff. But then there was that one little shaky bit of helicopter footage that seems to have been latched onto.
Oh yeah, other than the footage of the literal fight,
The actual rumble, yeah.
Yeah. Which is there's plenty of that. And if you go to the Google News, and a lot of these accounts, and Auntie Coolette was kind of a big proponent of this, was, you're not going to see it anywhere. This isn't on the mainstream news anywhere, and the cops the cops were all over the scene, and how come this isn't being reported? There's one guy that said, my dad's a cop and he's running for Miami sheriff, and I'm going to video call him to find out if he knows about it. And he video calls him, and his dad didn't know anything about it. And I think his dad legitimately is running for sheriff, so I don't know how he feels about being dragged into the alien gear. But yeah, there's kind of the narrative of, they're not reporting on this. But if you set your Google search to before like the 2nd or 3rd of January, when this actually happened, to after that, all the news reports have all the footage of all the fights.
Right.
And it's a whole big thing. And then after that, it's all alien gear. So it definitely was not suppressed by the news at all.
And were the fights sick once you finally got to watch them?
No, I don't think so.
No, just like kids running around.
Yeah. The Bayside Mall, a bit more Googling, there's been a lot of violence there over the years. I think there's been a couple of shootings there, which is probably why Auntie Coolette was looking up or tying it in with the shooting. So it's a pretty violent situation. And yeah. All that being said, though, what if we had someone that could somehow remote view into the mall at the time?
Robbo, do we have someone like that?
Cam, you're not going to believe this. Elizabeth April, that I found on Brighteon, but she's also on YouTube. She is a remote viewer, and she's done a prediction video for 2024, which I didn't have time to get into, but I reckon I'm going to make time in the next few days. She remote viewed into the mall, and she went, so she went in, and what she saw was some grey aliens, the classics, but they had broad shoulders. There was 3 of them. She also saw that everyone's memories from that time have been wiped by Men in Black.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They also wiped the footage of the Men in Black turning up to their houses to wipe their thing, because everyone's got Ring cameras now.
Yeah, exactly.
So they wiped that footage as well. And so she says the problem with being visited by the Men in Black is they'll bloody wipe your memories. She also compares this to a movie. You're not going to believe what movie she compares it to.
Does she compare it to Men in Black?
She says it's just like the movie Men in Black.
Oh,
okay.
It's almost like she got it from somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, she wanted to get some more information about this. And this, I want to sort of paint a picture of this lady. You describe her as mid-20s, conventionally attractive, seemingly well-spoken, in a nice setup. She has 400,000 followers on Instagram, more than 200,000 on YouTube. She gets numbers. Anyway, so this lady then says that she decided to transfer remote view into the Galactic Federation mothership when she asked an old friend of hers, a Pleiadian called Kinetic, who is beautiful and kind-hearted, and he works for the main security of Earth. And she said, and this is a direct quote, "Yo, Kinetic, what happened?" And he said that we don't realize how many beings are on our planet. She said she's been chatting to Kinetic for 10 years. And I feel like he should have told her right at the start that there's a lot of beings on the planet.
Yeah, it seems like 2024 is a bit late to be dropping that info.
Yeah. But he said they're usually undetected. But at the moment, and I think Salty, you kind of hinted on this, that they're undetected, but there's been a lot of solar flares lately. And that's kind of stuffing up how they can be detected. And Salty, you said, you look from one angle when they just look like cops. Look from another angle, aliens. And that's because the solar flares are stuffing it up. So now they're having to send a memo out to all the aliens that are on Earth that are like, hey, just beware if you're on Earth, you're going to be seen.
Yeah.
Because they just love coming around and hanging out on Earth.
You know what really makes sense is the idea that aliens from space with advanced cloaking technology, where the one weakness of it is being in the general millions of miles vicinity of a star, of which I think space has quite a few. That seems like a bit of a design flaw that they might want to resolve.
It is quite tech. It's interesting you say that, Cam, because I saw a lot of people saying this is just like signs and potentially signs as predictive programming.
Right. Spoilers.
I don't think it's a spoiler. That's
spoiler alert for Signs.
Well, no, there is about to be a spoiler alert for Signs because at the end of Signs, we realised that, or they realised that.
I was going to watch Signs tonight.
No, you weren't. Have you seen it?
No.
That's good.
Spoil it for me. Go on.
I really like even the worst Shyamalan movies. So, but
how do you rank it against The Beach That Makes You Old?
It's better, but I think I like The Beach That Makes You Old more because of the silly things in it.
All right, go on.
So in Signs, aliens come to Earth, and one of the characters was always leaving glasses of water around, and then they're being attacked by the aliens, Mel Gibson and his family, and they realize that water hurts the aliens. So, and they've got luckily for them, they've got all these glasses of water around the house, so they start just flinging them at the aliens and manage to fight them off. And then it's been pointed out that if you were not comfortable with water, coming to Earth is a really bad place. It's famously wet and humid and mostly water. So in this case, coming to somewhere so close to a sun would probably be the same risk. But they still did it anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my point is, like, all planets will be near a sun.
Yes.
So that's like the one thing you need to adjust for is the solar flares, because that's going to be happening anywhere you go.
But maybe they don't need to hide anywhere else but Earth.
Oh, true.
And maybe they use Earth as a bit of a testing ground. And also, we don't know what sort of conditions they grew in. Maybe their life is completely different to ours.
This is true. This is true. Sorry, Robbo. Sorry for doubting.
Yeah, you should be.
Sorry for doubting Kinetic.
Yeah. Yeah, don't apologise to me. Apologise to Kinetic.
Yeah, the beautiful Pleiadian. It's like, it's redundant. They're all beautiful.
Yeah, those Pleiadians. Damn hotties. A lot of Nephilim gear as well around this. A lot of, like, the Christians are really tucking into this one.
Well, it's like, there's just a couple of Nephilim walking around the mall.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, guys.
Yeah, so that's the aliens.
It seems strange to me that in the United States of America, with 3 Ks, yeah, that's right, I went there. There's like, and not just there, but like across the West, there is like a concerted propaganda effort around youth crime and like a racialized propaganda effort around youth crime that it would happen fairly consistently. And yet you have like a little riot with fireworks, and all of these people who should be like pushing for some sort of law change to, lock up kids are like, what if it was an angel stalking them all?
The racists definitely got their licks in before the alien stuff took over.
Okay.
In that sort of short, as I said, there's that window where it was just normal reporting, and a lot of the searches I did on X mentioned before it became actual aliens, it was illegal aliens before that.
Right.
It was kind of, it went from illegal aliens.
Is that what happened? Has someone seen there were aliens at the mall? And
yeah, maybe.
They've just jumped to...
Part of me wants to say that, but also the video that Salty's talking about, maybe it's that too. We'll never know. And it probably doesn't matter.
No. All right. Some other news before we go? Well, I guess the main bit of news in the world of conspiracies is the Epstein revelations.
Some documents got unsealed from Ghislaine's court case. And in those documents was emails from Sarah Ransom, which I think have been public in the past. And she said there's videos of Dickie Branson, the Prince Andrew, and Bill Clinton, and maybe Donald Trump. And there's videos of them, and they're being used to blackmail them by Epstein. And also Stephen Hawking was involved in a massive orgy, which yeah, that's got a few legs. There's been a few memes about that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
sorry, there's no pun intended on that, by the way. And then, but she's retracted that in 2019. So it's already stuff that's kind of public knowledge anyway, and it's kind of, I don't know. But people are running with it, but it's nothing new. And I think I kind of went to look into it a couple of times over the last week, and I've gone, oh, there's nothing in that. And then I've seen all the, it's lighting up everywhere, and I've gone back to look at it and gone, I think it's kind of stuff we already knew.
Yeah, it's the same stuff, and it's like, I think part of it was that there was like a big countdown to when these documents were going to be unsealed, and it's like we're going to learn something new. And so then when there was just things that were already known, we're all here for something, so it was still all reported on like it was quite thrilling. But there wasn't much happening. I did see, my favorite thing was one of the Trump boys tweeted, there was like a story that was like, Bill Clinton and this person all named in the thing. And the Trump comment was like, now we know why the media's not reporting on this. But what he had cut out of the headline was that like the first person named was Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, he tweeted something like, you'll notice that like not one of the people that went to the island supported Trump, but they all support Biden. It's like, yeah, but Trump was there.
Yeah,
like
Trump has come out and said he's a friend of Epstein's more than once, and there's video footage of them checking out babes together.
Yeah,
there are a lot of fake Epstein client lists going around, which have just got like John Legend and any modern celebrity that the right want to attack, and all clearly fake.
I did see David Koch came out and said that David Koch on the flight logs is not me. It's the other David Koch.
Where did he say that? On Twitter?
That was on X.com. He's dropping the right-wing financier right in it.
My favourite David Koch moment, and Cam, you can cut this because this is probably not relevant, but I was watching Sunrise one morning and it was a tennis player, and maybe it was Novak Djokovic, and he had a Uniqlo shirt on. He was sponsored by Uniqlo, and David Koch was like, oh, you just pause this for a second. He's just sponsored by University of Queensland. It's amazing what they're doing now. And then like 10 minutes later, like, oh, by the way, we've just got to retract what we said. It's actually Uniqlo, the multinational. It's not University of Queensland. Related to the Epstein flight logs, I just clicked into R Conspiracy, the subreddit, and the top story at the moment is Bono of the dogshit boomer band U2 has so far escaped media scrutiny because most people don't know his real name. And then apparently his real name is on the flight logs, but I just love U2 are being called a dog shit boomer band.
Yeah. Final bit of news and related to Koshi. You've got a little screen grab here from Tucker Carlson on his X.com show. He asks, if fossil fuels come from fossils, why have scientists found them on one of Saturn's moons? A lot of what you've heard about energy is false, Dr. Willie Soon explains. Did you investigate this at all? Or?
No, I went into X while we were recording, and I was looking something else up, and for some reason this came up. Yeah, and I don't know the science behind fossil fuels and Saturn's moons, but immediately I just know it's the dumbest shit I've ever heard of. Of course, Earth isn't the only place with fuel.
So the connection to Koshi is that Dr. Willie Soon is famously funded by the Koch brothers and Big Oil and Big Coal.
Right.
He's,
so the Koch brothers
bought and paid for.
So the Koch brothers are different to the Koch. So the Koch brothers, we call it David Koch, but it's spelt the same as the Koch brothers.
Yeah,
right?
The Koch brothers. Yeah. I'm going to call it.
I've just bought it. Yeah, I think we should. I've just logged into Twitter just for absolute clarity that David Koch mentioned the Epstein list referred to by the US court is the American oil billionaire of the same name and no relation. And there's just a lot of people replying going, yeah, sure.
Right.
That's good.
Oh.
All right. Well, that's a bloody podcast in the bag.
Hey.
Saturn. Glad we cleared that up. Yeah. Robbo, where can people find you? In the pages of Royce People's Choice?
No, you can't. No. You can find me on Blue Sky, Luke Rules. I'm hardly ever there, though. So find me on like a couple of random Discords that I'm not going to tell anyone about.
Andrew Tiberius Saltmarsh, where can I get you?
Oh, Jesus Christ, government names. Fucking relax, mate. You can... Well, I've just launched a new website.
Oh, tell us more.
Which is called artbysalt.com. And it's just basically a little blog site that I've got where I'm posting some art and some tutorials and just stuff what I've got going on in my creative world.
Mm-hmm. Any AI home renovation?
No. None of that.
All right.
But I've been back on the Twitch regularly, twitch.tv/thesalt. And I just wanted to say thanks to Watto, one of our listeners who popped in the Twitch chat and said g'day.
On your Watto?
Oh, yeah, Watto. And well done on your career as an all-rounder for the Australian cricket team.
Me?
Watto.
Oh, Watto.
Yeah. I popped into your stream the other day, Salty.
Yeah, I've seen you in there a couple of times.
And I enjoyed seeing you talking about making a puppet and showing the puppet off. It was a lot of fun.
Made a puppet that looks like me. Have you seen it since I attached his beard?
No, I have not seen it since you attached
I'll send you boys.
I'm glad when I asked for you to switch hats, you did that. That was fun.
Yeah.
Seeing the puppet's hat on you and your hat on the puppet. This is the kind of stuff that goes down on a Salty stream.
Yeah.
Cam?
And you can find me at Sexenheimer everywhere. I've tweeted a couple of times. Yesterday I tweeted a meme of the Joker with I'm a May guy. I have 3 sides, the quiet and sweet, the funny and crazy, and the side you never want to see.
Uh-oh.
702 views according to X.com. And not a single fave or retweet. Now, does that track to you, or does that seem like those numbers are complete bullshit?
I mean, based on the contents of your tweet, yeah, that seems about right.
I would have thought people would be replying and saying, I'm glad that we only see the sweet side of you. But yeah, I'm around. Pass around. Coming back next week on 3CR. Check it out.
You got a teaser for us?
Yeah, I've got a teaser. I've had weeks to arrange a guest, and I haven't. So you'll see what I managed to put together.
Cool. I look forward to being on the Pass Around next week.
Oh, Robbo, let's not count it out. People can find us on Patreon. Thank you to Tammy, our Cook for $3 sponsor.
Thank you,
Tammy.
Yeah, catch you around.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Don't worry about a thing, except if all our world leaders are alien reptilians. I said don't worry about a thing, except maybe the fluoride in our water supply contains mind-altering drugs. Don't worry about a thing, except whether or not Port Arthur was a false flag operation in which to disarm Australia. I said don't worry about a thing. I accept you can definitely hear John Lennon say I buried Paul at the end of Strawberry Fields forever. Ooh, don't worry about a thing, except not only did Bush do 9/11, but he also keeps the planes out in Area 51, which, let's not forget where all of the aliens are. Don't worry about a thing, except Donald Trump is clearly a woman and you're just blind if you can't see that. Why don't you open your eyes?